Good day, Red Devils, and welcome back to another episode of On the Glory Reds FC. Today, it is your boy, Don Benito, in the studio. Unfortunately, my boy D, Pastor D, couldn't join us today because he's having a little situation with his throat and he is currently unavailable to speak to us. So he asked me to handle this session today, and I was more than delighted to do that. So we wish Denda, we wish D a speedy recovery so that he can get back into the studio with me so that we can dissect. And actually, this game would have been amazing to have D on the studio with me so that we can talk about what we saw last night. So I am just going to jump right into it and talk about yesterday's game. So the first thing I'm going to say is I'm very pleased that we won. The overall performances of the team was good, was fair. And I say this because I am not a fan that is very naive of everything that is going on around us. We are playing Crystal Palace twice. We played them yesterday and we're going to play them during the weekend, and they're both home games. It is very difficult to pick two different squads or pick two different squads that you intend for them to win, especially when you're playing two different competitions. So just like yesterday, when I watched the game, the first thing that came into my mind was Crystal Palace. Obviously, they had their weekend side, which was very understandable because it looks like they pay, they're giving more to the Premier League than they are with this Carabao Cup. Now, for us, we were the holders. We are the defenders. It made no sense for us to put a weak team there and then get beaten on our first day. So I understand why all of these things have happened. So I get it. Crystal Palace picked a team that was not really sure about the starting lineup that Manchester United have. Usually what happens is that every team picks its starting lineup, or even the player. Okay, obviously the players need to pass the test of being fit to play. However, they pick their teams based on how they think the other team is going to set up. So sometimes you find like a team will set up their team. Like for example, Brighton. I'll give a clear example of Brighton. I didn't watch that game. I only watched it after. Brighton were expecting us to have a different formation, and we came in there and did something that was different. And it took them some time not some time, but it was very quick for them to realize how we were going to play, and they sorted themselves out according to that. Now, with yesterday's game, had it been a stronger team, I think we would have had problems. And I'm not taking away from the performance that we had. No, I am not. What I'm saying is Crystal Palace allowed us to come at them yesterday. And we should have actually seen this and gone for them even more. Like, we should have been bombarding them. We should have really made life miserable for Crystal Palace yesterday. But somehow in the beginning stages of the game, it almost seemed like it was Crystal Palace just giving us respect. They understand that they was kind of like sitting and just, it was weird. It didn't make sense. And we were like sitting there and also not pushing and not being aggressive like other teams would normally be. You look at Newcastle against Sheffield United. They were training, but they were aggressive, and we were not. So I think in terms of that's where my criticism comes in, because it was like, okay, fine, because our team looked good. It was a weekend side, but it had a lot of players that are on paper stronger than what Crystal Palace had. So you would expect those guys to do the job, which they did. However, had the scenario been different, had it been we were playing against City or Liverpool or even Tottenham or Brighton, we would have been in trouble. We would have been in trouble because then we would now be the ones that are chasing the ball. We had so much fun yesterday because we had the ball. We were dictating what's going on because we were always on the ball. Crystal Palace were not attempting to try and get us off the ball. Now, when we play against other teams, especially the teams in the top 5, those teams go toe-to-toe with us. It's man for man. They come at us. They break plays. They win the second balls. They make sure that life is miserable for us. And for some reason, when we get into those situations, we're always rattled. Start misplacing passes, always trying to make passes, give passes that don't make sense. We lose the ball. The first touch is poor. We do all these silly things. So yesterday, it was nice to see. It's weird to say this, but it was nice to see Crystal Palace give us that room to do that. You know what I mean? So I was happy in the sense that we won, and we got to see a lot of players that people thought that were finished come back to life. You know, it was Varane, for example. He came back into that squad there, and he was just purring. He was just, you know, a V12 when it's just purring, just chilling there, and it's just making those nice sounds. That was Varane yesterday. Flawless performance. He was just on it. And I'm so happy that he's back. Sufyan Amrabat. When we saw the starting lineup, he looked like he was going to be playing left back. He did start off the left back position. But then we saw the qualities that he brings to this team. Yesterday, we saw glimpses of Pep Guardiola's philosophy of having sort of like an inverted right back or a left back or a right back coming into the midfield to add numbers to help in the progression of the ball. And Amrabat, because we don't have a left back, he is a versatile player. He's a utility player. He can play in all the positions. He said it himself. He's played in all the positions. The only position that he hasn't played in or excelled well is goalkeeper. But if he's told to go and play there, he will do it. So that's a very good attribute to have. But then we know that Sufyan Amrabat is a midfielder. And what he showed us yesterday was the quality. You know, it's crazy. And I'm actually even taking pride in this because he's African. Being African and being able to bring such qualities is a big boost to the African continent. Because I tell you what, he has the football intelligence that a lot of our players in Manchester United, even in the Premier League, don't have. And that speaks volumes in terms of being from Africa. And you understand what I mean? Every African player has to go in Europe and has to play double. He has to be twice as better. So he came in there and showed these qualities. He was very good with pinging his balls. He was a midfielder that was looking for the balls, not the Scott McTominay shit where he's always running away and letting people pass. Like, he opens the door like, hey, you, yeah, you can pass through. Yeah, it's all good. You know, he was getting on the ball. His passing range is just absolutely beautiful. And we saw something that was just amazing, because to add on to Amrabat playing very well, our Rolls Royce captain Casemiro was in there bossing that game. One of the best performances by Casemiro in a long time. And I know it is against Crystal Palace. But we've played other teams and people were saying that Casemiro is finished. Oh, he doesn't have the legs. One thing I can tell you right now is that as United fans, we have understood that Casemiro, beginning of the season, he has a very start slow. Real Madrid, people that are United fans and also like Real Madrid can back this statement, or can confirm or correct me when I'm wrong. At Real Madrid, he probably also had this similar start where he has a very, very slow start. But the moment he gets into his rhythm, he's unplayable. He just becomes, wow. He just becomes, you know. So I am happy that Casemiro is back. He has shut a lot of criticism. All those people, even United fans that thought that he was finished. I think yesterday's game just zipped your mouth and showed you that you do not dare question Casemiro and his qualities. This guy is an elite player. He's world class. We don't have a lot of world class players in our squad, so you need to understand it. And that word world class is thrown around a lot. But when you're talking about Casemiro, you're talking world class. You know what I mean? So I am very happy with his performance yesterday. Amrabat is going to unlock him. Amrabat is going to give Casemiro more room. And I'm telling you now, Casemiro is going to score more goals because he's being, with Amrabat in that position or in the squad, in that midfield, sitting in the base there, in between the two centre-backs, Martinez and Varane. He's going to allow Casemiro to do his box-to-box duties, because we know Casemiro is a very, very good supporting player. He always makes the runs. He's always there. In his own way, he always finds himself in the box, and he has got the awareness, and he's intelligent. And the fact that he started off as a striker proves with the way he has the eye for a goal when he's in around that box or inside the box. He has that instinctive thing, that thing that I always say, that that smell. He sniffs out goals, but he needed to be given that opportunity to do that. And by doing that, because when he's alone in that midfield with Bruno or Eriksson or Scott McTominay, he's doing all the defensive duties, meaning that he has no chance for him to go and display his attacking qualities, which he has in abundance. Casemiro has got an arsenal. He has got a locker of tricks in his attacking attributes that we have not yet seen. He has done them at Real Madrid. He's shown glimpses of them here last season, but there is more. And I'm really, really excited about that. This because we are done with McFred. We are now entering a new era of Casabat. Casabat, or whatever you want to call him. Ambramero, whatever. That new midfield pairing is just going to do us good, and I'm excited, and I can't wait. This next game against Crystal Palace, I expect us to win. The sole fact is, I just don't want Amrabat to have that same role that he did in this game, where he has to go to the left back when we are out of position to defend and always do that thing. I want him to have his role as a CDM or an 8 in that midfield, dictating things, controlling things, and he will instinctively go back and defend and make sure that our defense is sorted out. So you don't need to worry about that. We don't need to worry about that. You know what I mean? But we'll have to wait and see. I don't know what is Reguilon's fitness update. We're still waiting to see because we still have time. But we know he's the guy that should be there. And if Reguilon is in, he should start at left back. Or if he's still out, I would put Lindelof. Because Lindelof came on last night and he was amazing. He not amazing in the sense that he was prime Alphonso Davies or Jordi Alba. No, he just did his job. He stopped it, and then he had that cracker where he let loose there. That was just something that we know that Lindelof has. You know what I mean? So it will be interesting to see, because we're not sure if Varane is completely fit. But one thing that we can say that we have Johnny Evans. Johnny Evans, I know it's cringing to say this because he's 35, he's old, we signed him for a 1-year contract, we didn't get the defenders that we wanted, blah, blah, blah. But he has proven in the games that he has played that he's a ball-playing defender. He's very good with the ball at his feet. You know what I mean? He's very good in the air, in the boxes, aerial threats that we wanted, that Harry Maguire occasionally had. Evans is showing us, even the time when he used to play for United back in the days, he had that same threat. So he just brought in a more mature and experienced version. So he's good being there as whether he starts, whether he comes off the bench to help whoever defender is there. I'm happy because that's what we've got. I'm not trying to be delusional and start saying we should have had this. Nah, the transfer window is closed. The league is already on. We need to focus on what's there in front of us. You know what I mean? So Johnny Evans is there in the team, and so far he is impressed. I would love to see him, I don't want to say I would love to see him more in difficult games, because that could backfire. Against the tougher opposition, he might struggle, like he did when he was at Leicester. So we don't want to put him in a situation where he looks completely useless. So we don't want to do that. But I'm happy with the contributions that he has in the team. Alejandro Garnacho and Facundo Pellistri, the only thing I can say is wow. Wow, 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 wow. Those boys are not making Erik ten Hag's job easy in terms of thinking about picking a starting 11. Those boys are knocking at the door. Literally, they're right there saying, hey, Gaffer, I'm here. I'm knocking at your door. You can see me, right? I'm here. Yeah, so do the right thing and make sure that I am in the squad, because they offer a lot. I want to talk a little bit about Facundo, because he's somebody that I've been dying to see, because I've been watching him a lot. I watched him when when he came, I started following him the moment he came to our squad. He came from Uruguay. We sent him to play with the youngsters. He was there for a while, got his loans to Sociedad and all these other teams in Spain and whatnot, came back, tried his thing. He's been getting experience and he's been developing fast, at a faster rate than I thought. I thought he would struggle, but he didn't. And now he's at a stage where he's knocking at the door. Considering the circumstances and everything that's happening at the squad, with everything, Sancho, Anthony, Greenwood, the injuries, Ahmad, he is literally the only number 7, proper number 7, the number 7 that United fans want. And when I say United fans want, I'm talking about the DNA of Manchester United. I'm taking this all the way back. I'm taking this back to the roots. United is synonymous with wingers. We've always had wingers. My Daddy Beckham, was a winger. Giggsy, we've always been having wingers. And for a while, for a very, very long time, we haven't had players that have come in to fit into those positions and actually make them the way those guys used to. Now, I'm not saying that Pelestri is the one or anything like that, no. But he is reminding us of that time. You know, just like how you look at Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham looks amazing when he's playing. But he is reminding a lot of people that have watched old school football of that old school midfielder, that number 10. Old school. He plays like that. He's not the new modern now. He's an old school player that is sort of making a lot of people reminisce of the past. And at the same time, being as old school, he's excelling. Facundo is, I'm not saying he's Jude Bellingham, but with respect to his position, that is the kind of thing that he offers. When was the last time we had a right winger, a proper art-and-art right winger? In our previous podcast, me and D, we talked about Nani. Nani was the real proper number 7 that we lost. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think we've had some, just I don't remember them because they haven't had that impact, and that should tell you a lot. And this is where I'm going with this Pelestri. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that, no, he deserves to start or everything like that. Nah. My issue is based on the current circumstances. And yesterday, you look at that game, he made it even more difficult. I would start Facundo over Anthony and Sancho all day when he's fit and 100%. Like the two youngsters, Facundo and Ahmad. I know Ahmad is injured, but those two, I would prefer them compared to these two big boys that are supposedly big boys, to those kids, because they do the job that we want them to do. Garnacho, we've always known what he has. Ever since he broke into the first team, he's shown that, I have the quality, I can do it. He's done it in games multiple times. He came in the FA Cup final against Man City, off the bench, few minutes, and proved and showed what, it made us feel like he should have started that game. Garnacho will always be Garnacho. He'll always have an impact. And it's very interesting to see what the manager said, because the manager was like, you saw in the beginning of the season, I gave him the start. Meaning that Garnacho has graduated people. He's not a kid. He's a kid, but he's not a kid in terms of what you are thinking. He's not like Greenwood that time when he broke into the team and we were all scratching our heads and wondering, why is he not getting game time? Whenever he comes in, he's doing the business. Now, he's there. He's signed a professional contract. He's knocking at the door. Every time he comes on that pitch, he causes mischief. Furniture is moving around because of that kid. You know what I mean? So the manager was like, listen, this kid you saw in the beginning, he didn't start off well. And I've been talking to him that he needs to add into his defensive attributes, because going forward, he's one player that takes his chances, whether it is providing an assist or scoring a goal. He will always have those chances. He always has to be ready to take those chances, but he needs to improve his defensive game, which is a good thing coming from the manager, because you want your manager to tell you stuff like this. I don't understand what's wrong with Sancho. I really don't. It's pissing me off how such a baby he is. He should just apologize and move on. I grew up in a time or a regime or a period where hierarchy meant everything. Everything comes from the top going down. There's nothing that comes from the bottom going up. Never. So I totally am against Sancho's behavior and everything that he's done. But if things were different, Sancho would be filling in that position. I wonder if he would be putting in the shift that these kids are putting. I wonder, but it's just something that we'll just never know. Hannibal was also another good player. I mean, he's a player that people, I'm sure, some fans that don't understand are like, why is why is he playing? What is his position? Hannibal is a central midfielder, and he's also an attacking midfielder. However, he has these attributes where he goes back to defend. Defending is not his strong suit, but he can go out there and put a shift. He is somebody that is doing the simplest things. Like, I would start Hannibal over Scott McTominay any day of my life. All day, every day, and tomorrow. I'm telling you. That's how good that kid is compared to Scott McTominay. I know he's not very pleasing in the eyes, and he has that combative, aggressive, he bites at players' toes, at feet, he puts in, like he nibbles at players, and he's somebody that might pick up a lot of cards, almost like Gavi. I don't know if anybody knows Gavi from Barcelona. Gavi he's a player that picks up a yellow card every game. Because with every challenge, every action that he makes on that pitch, it's at 100% power. Like, he is giving everything to his challenges, he's marking everything. And I feel like Hannibal has the same traits. He might miss a challenge, or he might miscalculate a tackle and bite at a player, but he gets the job done. He was very, very good. I was happy to see that Bruno didn't start, and we were able to be comfortable and play these games. But then let's not fool ourselves, because when this game gets more and more difficult, we're going to want our big boys in there. I was reading a couple of stories where people are talking about we should bench Bruno more often. Excuse me and excuse you. Bruno is the heart of Manchester United, and I don't care what anybody says. When Bruno is missing in that squad, and when he comes on to be an impactful player, I don't care how many games they've been, and there's even evidence, he adds intensity. He is somebody that we are now putting him out of position to accommodate people. Why? Like, I get it. Bruno is Bruno. He will always be Bruno. He will always want to play. He will always do these things. But let's put him in his right position. And I know when I say this, it's almost like I'm talking to fans. But no, this is directed to the gaffer. You know what I mean? Because now we're in the brink of discovering one of the best midfield trio in the Premier League in Amrabat, Casemiro, and Bruno. I mean, Mount is back to full fitness. He's also somebody that's coming in there. He looked good last night coming in there. It's just a headache, but it's a beautiful headache. But Bruno always has to start. I don't care. These small games where we are able to cruise through like we did yesterday, I'm fine. I'm fine with it, because I want our Magnifico to get some rest. I think last season he was one of the players that played the most games for us. He never got injured. He hardly gets... I mean, maybe he did. I forgot, but Bruno's hardly injured. You know what I mean? So you have to play him. He's itching to play. Martial, he had a graveyard shift in the sense that our strikers in general at United, they don't get balls. Then our wingers, they don't help. You know what I mean? But he played very well. He looks sharp. He looks happy. A happy Martial is a very dangerous Martial. A happy, fit, smile on his face Martial. Salute to the fans Martial. Trotting, have this little pep and bounce in his step Martial. COVID Martial is a problem to defenders. He's a problem to society. And I'm happy that he's there. Like, I'm not forgetting he's injury prone. And I can even tell you right now for free, I would prefer Martial over Højlund all day, any day. And I say this based on what they can offer, and based on the history, or the players' stats and what stuff that they've done. Martial will always take it because he's been here at the club for longer. He's scored a lot of goals. He's had moments. His only problem has been injury at United. Højlund just started. I'm not saying that Højlund is a bad player. No ways. He is the guy that's going to help us. We've not had a striker, so him being there is amazing, like a proper striker. Martial is a winger that turns striker and has embraced that position as he is. You know what I mean? So it's very good to see Martial in his element. His goal, half volley, beautiful take. I was happy. I just want to see more. I just want to see more. I just want us to continue this way, the way we are protecting these players. You know what I mean? Making sure that they don't get injured. This same way that Erik ten Hag is trying to protect them. But then against the stronger opponents, Champions League, it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm not going to sit here and say I want the manager to do this because, like I said, I trust him. But there are just some decisions that he makes that don't make sense. You see, like yesterday was another situation. You know, he mentioned something in his interviews where he talks about like the Burnley game. He said that we were winning and the team that was playing was good and he didn't want to break the momentum and change anything. Yesterday we were winning as well. I mean, and I don't think any substitutions that he would have made, or even if we continued with that team, if it would have affected. So there was some sort of contrast statements with him because he mentioned that I want to maintain that momentum, you know, so that, and the players were fine, cool. Yesterday we were winning as well, but he still made substitutions. Now, you will sit here and start saying, okay, it's because he's got a game on the weekend, he's resting players. That is cool. And he did this against Burnley, which was a turnaround. We needed that win, which I understand. But he needs to be consistent. If he's saying that I don't make substitutions because I'm trying to maintain the momentum of the play or whatever, and only makes changes if we're losing, that won't really sit well with the fans because it's like, okay, if you're not going to make hasty decisions based on panic, what's the point of making those decisions? You might as well just stick with the starting lineup that's doing all right, losing but doing all right, you know. So yeah, with that, all I can say is that I was happy. I was not happy, excited, like, yo, United is back, yeah, let's jump and sing and dance, kwasa kwasa. Nah, it was none of that. I am very cautious. I know my team. I just as I'm sure you guys know how United are. The game on the weekend is going to be completely different. There will be Anderson, Gerhi will be there. He will have his defenders in, what's his name? Tariq, and I don't know who else. Eze will be in there starting. They'll have Ayu, they'll have Edouard. They will have all their heavy hitters. So we also need to have our heavy hitters, and we need to instill the fear of God in them. We're playing at United. We're playing 4 home games, starting from this past game that we just played against Crystal Palace. So we play Crystal Palace at home, then we're going to play Galatasaray at home again, then we're going to play Brentford at home again until Sheffield United. So we've got, adding yesterday's game, 4 home games. I personally do not want to lose because we allowed Brighton to come and destroy, like infiltrate our fortress. You know, they penetrated, they broke the force field by winning at United. So now we need to close that force field again, get all these other people to now add into the power of protecting and making this shield. You know what I mean? And that is protecting Old Trafford. We can concede goals. It's fine. I think if you have not accepted that Onana is going to concede goals this season, then, my friend, you are preparing your heart for disappointment. But they're going to hurt you. You know what I mean? They're going to hurt you. Onana is going to concede a lot of goals. We should embrace and take joy in the clean sheets that he's going to keep, because they're not going to be so many of them like we had. Last season, we had a Golden Glove winner from United, David De Gea. I don't see the Golden Glove coming near us anytime soon in the next, I don't know how long, unless we sort out this thing. So prepare your hearts. We're always going to concede goals because of the style, or maybe we'll have an off day, but our goalkeeper is not somebody that is whose forte is keeping so many clean sheets. But when he does, let's celebrate it. Let's enjoy it. You know what I mean? So yeah, against Crystal Palace, this coming week is going to be an interesting one. Me and D are going to have a match preview for that. I'm sure by that time he will be better and he will be back with us. And it's almost weird sometimes. It's weird having a match reaction without D because I'm talking here by myself, and maybe I saw some things in the game that, or maybe I saw the game in a different light. And one of the reasons why me and D work so well and why we started this journey is that he always makes me see things in a different angle. Before I was always stuck to my ways, sticking to how I think, and like if it's not the way I think, move it aside. But D is one guy that knows how to explain things to me and make me understand and see things in a different way. So today, him being here, but I'm sure he's happy just as much as I am, and I'm sure he feels the same sentiments I have. Maybe one or two changes here and there, but he shares the same sentiments as me. And the only thing I can say right now is that the turnaround has begun. The turnaround that I've been talking about that is imminent is here. Let's build on it. We've got players coming back. We've got Mason Mount, who people still don't understand why he's at the club and whatnot, but he's fit, and a fit Mason Mount. I'll take that any day. Whether you're going to put him as a winger or what, I'll take that any day. He's part of the squad. He's there. Whether he comes off the bench, whether he starts, he's there. That's a boost. Varane is back. Boost. Amrabat is in. Yesterday looked very, very, very good. It was just one of those things where it was like, damn, man. You stand up and you'll be like, you walk around and be like, you see, this is what we've been missing, when United make that signing or make a signing of a player in a position that we've needed. Like when Bruno came into Manchester United, we needed a number 10. We needed a midfielder that knows how to dictate games. We didn't have that. So he comes in, boom. We needed Casemiro to come and stop because ever since Carrick left, we never got. We released under Herrera on some stupid circumstances. He left us, which was the biggest mistake, and I'm still hurting by that situation because I feel like if Ander Herrera stayed during that time, if they just gave him the money that he was looking for, we would have had better results during that time. And we would have been sitting here saying, comparing like Ander Herrera, talking about Ander Herrera in so much high esteem. But ever since then, we've never had then we had Matic, who did a job. Of course, he did a job. But then it reached a point where he was aging and it looked like he didn't have legs. But form is temporary, class is permanent. Whenever he was on form, his class just showed and he became a big part. He became a big player in our squad. That midfield of Bruno, Pogba and Matic, in its time, oh my God, it worked. So we never had that. So we bring Casemiro in. Casemiro comes in, boom. The player that we wanted and needed comes in and does the job that we wanted and needed. You understand what I mean? Rasmus has come in. Yes, we bought Rasmus because we didn't have strikers. Ronaldo left. Martial is an injured player. We understand that. We bought him in so that we can have another striker. The right wing situation is the same. Sancho was bought and the guys that he's going to be a right winger, only to be told that he prefers playing on the left. So we didn't have a right winger. So Anthony comes in at the right time and then he has his situation. You know what I mean? So it's very nice. Wan-Bissaka, when he came to United the first time, we needed a right back. Came in and did the thing that we wanted him to do. Yes, we've had a young roller coaster with Wan-Bissaka, but he has turned things around and has come back for us. You know what I mean? He's come through for us and he's doing the business and I'm happy. It's just unfortunate that he's injured. So there are a lot of players that have come in. When you look at a player and you're happy that he's in your squad because you know the contribution he's going to add to your club is just immense. So like I said, the turnaround is coming. How we are going to go about it is up to our manager. We're going to be watching him very closely. We're going to be watching the games. We're going to be seeing how these players are improving. We're going to see the value that Amrabat adds to our team. And we're not going to be having the conversations that we'll be having. You know what I mean? We had a very slow start. to the season. I don't know why that is. They need to sort that little bit out because it made no sense. We had one of the longest preseason tours or games. Like, we had a lot of games. And you think that those games were going to get our players very, very sharp. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe those so many games that the players got tired, they got knackered, like started developing small muscle situations, and you know what I mean. Maybe that was the situation. Maybe they need to reduce the amount of games they play and focus more on trying to play Ten Hag football. You know what I mean? Maybe that was the situation, but it was very reminiscent of Erik Ten Hag's first season. Very slow start because of the preseason. I'm not his first season. Our preseason was a little bit dodgy. This season we had a full preseason. Casemiro came in after. People will not, and somehow the start of our season is almost reminiscent of last season. And we do remember that we had a turnaround. I guess I'm hoping that this will be the turnaround, but we need to maintain it. We need our attackers scoring more goals. The manager needs to get that message across to these players and make sure that they understand their primary job. It was funny when I was listening to Erik Ten Hag and he's talking about Alejandro Garnacho and his defensive qualities. And immediately, when he mentioned it, I was like, but why you never say anything about Rashford? Maybe Rashford, I'm not seeing him doing his defensive things because whenever I watch Rashford, I don't see the defensive. I see him, yes, tracking back, and every once in a while they're stopping or maybe a corner, he'll head it out. I get those things. But that running back like Facundo, that running back like Anthony, that going back and making sure that he's there, and, I hardly see that from Rashford, So, yeah, we hope that we're going to have a good game in the weekend. I am actually hoping for us to beat Crystal Palace. I think I have a view and understanding of how the starting lineup will be. The starting lineup for this game, I got it wrong. Because when I picked my team in the Man United app, I had Alte Biendi at goal. I had Lindelof and Johnny Evans there. I had Reguilon and I think at Lindelof. And then I had, Johnny Evans as well. I had Bruno inside there. I got 7 players right. I got Dalot, Mount, Pelestri, Martial, Garnacho, Casemiro, and those are the players that I got right, and the rest I got wrong. But this coming game week, I think we'll have an idea based on even the substitutions. Amrabat coming off, Varane coming off. I don't think there's any injury. I think they just did their job and they could bring in other players. So we need them because, believe it or not, the Premier League is much more important than the Carabao at present. Because we've already crossed over. We're already to the next round. The Premier League is every weekend. That's where we are fighting against the best. So we need to make sure that with the guys that we're playing up against the best, we need to make sure that we bring our A game. And I hope that we will see a huge, huge turnaround. It's going to be amazing to see. I just hope that these small little problems that United do, I hope they've ironed that stuff out. And now we're looking forward and we're not turning back. Yes, we're going to have those off games. It's very, very normal. City get beaten by very weird teams. Liverpool the same. Everybody gets smacked up every day. You know what I mean? People get smacked up. That's normal. Anticipate that it's going to happen. But if it doesn't, then you should look at it as a positive. You should look at it as improvement. Because if we're not getting battered as much as we were battered last season, then you should know that, something has changed. We might get beaten, yes, but then not the scores that we were receiving last season. And another thing I noticed is that good feel factor is kind of like back. I heard that the gaffer had a barbecue with the players and their families, got everybody there at Carrington. The night when Rashford had his accident with the lady, he was leaving Carrington from this barbecue. And in this barbecue, I'm hearing that it was basically the gaffer thanking the families for the sacrifices that they're making because It's a huge sacrifice that some of these players do, and it's a trait that I loved it because it's a trait that Sir Alex Ferguson had, and I think in a lot of managers, top managers, they kind of have this trait where they involve family with the players. So Sir Alex Ferguson used to speak to the girlfriends and the mothers of the players because these are the women that can get to these men. So he meets his players for the first time and he's like, listen, I want to meet your girlfriend or your wife and your mom. Bring them. And then he sat with all of them, had one-on-ones with those females to make sure that I don't know what he said directly to these women, but I'm guessing these women contributed because he told them what he expects from their husbands or boyfriends, and that there's going to be a lot of sacrifices, and he hopes maybe his wives and the women are going to be part of that and help these guys be where they are. So that's a very, very good thing. Brings that camaraderie, that togetherness, that thing that we've been missing since the beginning of the season. Remember last season when we made our turnaround, the high fives, people were celebrating tackles, defensive block. We were set. Yeah, come on, boys. Carajo, vamos. We were all up in there, but we haven't seen that. But slowly, it's building up and it's coming back. That feel-good factor. We as United fans are the only people that can see this. So don't be bothered by what Chelsea, United, or all these other useless fans think. Forget about them. They don't know our club. They'll always base their judgments and whatever their criticism based on what they see and what they know based on social media. But we as United fans, we know our players. We know what they're capable of. We know the stupid things that they do. So, yeah, if you see the improvement or if you see the turnaround like I do, please smash a like, drop a comment, show us that you are feeling it too, and yeah, join us in the WhatsApp community, in our WhatsApp Glory Reds FC community. We are having conversations in there that are very juicy. Like today, we had a conversation about Wan-Bissaka and Diogo Dalot, who is the best. And there are people bringing in their points out, and it's very interesting. So please join us, come into the community. Our links will be in the video description. Check them out. We are across all the social media platforms, especially the podcast platforms. Check us on there, and yeah, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you for taking your time to listen. Please wish Pastor D a sweet recovery, and please send him a message of getting back soon into the studio so we can give you guys very good content. Thank you. On to the next one. Crystal Palace at home, Old Trafford on Saturday. Let's go.